Welcome one and all to another Scouching report, and today is going to be an interesting one as we are taking a look at Barrie Colt's left-hand shot defenseman Kashawn Aitcheson. Aitcheson is coming off of a tremendously productive OHL season this year. Crossing 70 goals as a defenseman is no easy feat. He is a player who was around a point a game pretty much all season long, had a pretty good performance in the playoffs. If you include the playoffs, he passed 30 goals this season and spent quite a bit of time in the penalty box this year as well. So we're getting some clues as to what this guy might just be, but there is a lot more to the picture with Kashawn Aitcheson, and I will be perfectly honest. I have had some problems with Kashawn Aitcheson, and I'll be honest, I have had some problems with Kashawn Aitcheson this season, and I will admit going into this video, the last two games I saw of him were significantly better than the previous ones, but we're going to go through what I've seen over the course of the full season, some of the patterns going on here, and why I'm cooler on him than a lot of people. But in regards to what Kashawn Aitcheson is, to me, I think there is a player who is a little bit unrefined with regards to what he should be and could be at the next level. Aitcheson is a competitor, to say it in a word. He's a guy who you can tell steps up for teammates, he'll mix things up after the whistle. He's sort of a bleeding heart guy who you can definitely tell is a player who you just like to have on your team once in a while. He's a player who I also do think has a pretty fluid set of feet under him, a bit of skill to go along with it, and admittedly, you don't score 30 goals in an OHL season as a defenseman without a really, really good shot. And he does carry a really good release, especially when he steps up from the blue line a little bit here and there, which is something I saw him do a little bit over the season. The issues really come about in the details of his game, some of the off-puck positioning, some of the actual physical play and the results in those areas, which we'll get into. But overall, Aitcheson is a player who I think with a few years of patience and development and not rushing him along could become a really interesting two-way guy that leans a little bit more offensively. Think like a Jacob Trouba, where there are assets to have with the player, but there are some areas that might need to be worked around, which I think is perfectly okay. It just comes down to where you're drafting the player in the draft, and for me, Aitcheson might be a little bit overvalued, but let's get into the video and see exactly why I've come to that conclusion. So we're going to start by getting into exactly the side of the game that I think Aitcheson is simultaneously needing to improve the most, but also where he seems very, very capable in other situations as well, and that's defensively. So Aitcheson is a player that, yes, he scored a lot of points this year, but I don't really think too much about defensemen producing a whole lot as really projectable and you can carry it forward into the NHL, but this is a play that I just wanted to start with regards to Aitcheson, where he just does a good job sticking with this off-puck guy, and he does get physically involved here. It's not rocket science, it's not overly complicated, but he does do a good job sticking with this guy and taking him to the ice and preventing a scoring chance. Again, Aitcheson doing a pretty good job on this clip as well, just sticking to his man in the defensive zone, getting a stick in the lane and blocking that pass, getting it out of his own end. So there are capabilities here of him to be a pretty decent defensive zone coverage guy, and this was another example of that. So this clip highlights Aitcheson's sort of off-puck positioning again. Maybe there's an argument to be made that in this situation, Aitcheson should have pressured the guy down low, but his partner is nowhere near the really threatening scoring chance, so Aitcheson does the right thing here, knocks that puck free as well, so good off-puck anticipation as well. But yeah, it's a decent fundamental baseline with which I think we're starting out with him, at least in pockets. And again, this is what Aitcheson does at his best, in my experience, which is, again, just along the boards here, just wreaking havoc and slowing the game down, causing turnovers, getting the puck free, and getting it away from danger. So this kind of thing, when you do it, it matters. It definitely matters. And Aitcheson is a guy who is willing to put in the work along the boards. There's no denying that at all. And again, just establishing good body positioning here on 40 down low, this is how you need to do it, right? Get your body in the way, power through it. This is what NHL teams love, and I'm pretty sure this is a big reason why NHL teams have this guy so high on their boards, as far as I can tell, or why everyone else does as well. Like, when you do this kind of thing over and over again, people notice. And here's an example of Aitcheson as well on an offensive zone exit, using his feet laterally to defend. So Aitcheson is this guy right here, and he just takes a few steps laterally, gets in the way, and just shoving guys out of their rushing lanes can make a huge difference in the output that you get on the ice, right? This is the basics of defensive hockey to me, and Aitcheson in these clips is showcasing the capability to be a relatively dependable, projectable, and safe player, especially when sort of plays kind of coming to him, and he just has to make little adjustments and little motions to adjust and make plays and cause turnovers. And this is one of the playoff games that I thought Aitcheson was one of the two of the best that I saw this year. And again, decent check along the boards, but this also showcases something that, I don't know, this is just a personal preference, but I'm not a huge fan of the players that are advertised as physical, and watch what happens. So Aitcheson does throw a hit, and this is Kevin He. Kevin He is not big. Kevin He is quick and very skilled, and I feel like his tenacity in the game has really improved since last year. And so Kevin He escapes Aitcheson here, right? He still has possession of the puck, and what happens? Aitcheson gives him a whack. Now, again, I personally look at what players do when they don't cause a turnover, when trying to cause a turnover. And this kind of thing, especially leading to a power play, I mean, you're in the first 2 minutes of the game. I'm not a huge fan of players risking taking a penalty, especially this early in a game, for something that, you know, you lose a check along the boards, a smaller, more skilled player wins possession, and you give him a whack. It's just a little bit of a thing that I always file away and note. But for me, it's obviously not the end of the world, but I wanted to highlight it because this is also something that he did quite a bit. He went to the penalty box a lot for a reason. Again, there's a level of ferocity at times to Aitcheson, just sticking with guys and just putting in hard work. And again, you can tell this guy is a player who we all know, we've seen the reports and everything. He loves to work out. He's a strong kid. There's value to that in a sense. And I think this highlights his ability to just stick with pressure, apply pressure, stick with forecheckers or guys with the puck. And I mean, again, there's a bit of a pattern that we're going to see here too. Yes, he whiffs on the puck here, but the other thing too is, you know, he does kind of default to just getting the puck out of his zone as soon as possible here. So again, I've seen defensemen this year who will do the thing here that he just did, wait that split second, and now he's got multiple passing options if he wants to maybe take a little bit of a risk and throw the puck out there, because this guy here, maybe he cuts that pass off, but you have lots and lots of support in your own end to make things work here, or, you know, something, but he just kind of flips it into the offensive zone here. They managed to get the puck, so it's, you know, a 3-line pass on paper. And I'm being nitpicky on this play too. The main thing I want to highlight is that level of intensity. And again, Aitcheson, when he's in close contact with a player, will not just give them a light tap, will not just give them a stick check and leave them alone. He will give you a hard time quite often. And this is the other thing he does really well too, right? He just gets the puck here and fends off pressure really well. Strength is an asset in hockey. That's obvious. And so here's a good example of him just getting the puck down low, keeping the puck away from the opponent, and making plays and keeping a cycle going. And again, this is a defenseman, right? So he's working real high in the offensive zone here, or real low, I should say, in the offensive zone, and gets the job done here. So this is a way that I think Aitcheson did generate quite a bit of offense. He is a big kid, and gloving this pass down, or this errant exit pass down, he just grabs it and throws it right back into the front of the net and generates what could have been a very dangerous scoring chance here. But then this is another thing I wanted to highlight on this play, right? I'll go back and we'll start it over again, but he just chops it back into the scoring area, you know, gets a scoring chance on net. And here he's looking for the physical play, right? It's like the puck doesn't exist, and he just applies the hit. The puck's in his feet, but he doesn't even really seem to notice, and now they're coming the other way. Like, there is an asset here with regards to pinching in the offensive zone, being aggressive, trying to keep the puck pinned in the offensive zone, but I found over the year that Aitcheson was very commonly looking for a physical play. I found that during the year, Aitcheson was very commonly looking for a physical play along the boards, and playing the puck was not necessarily as much of a priority sometimes. And you run the risk when you do that over and over and over again of, especially if you don't have the support from your wingers in terms of structure, that it just becomes, you know, an odd man rush coming the other way. And this is played really, really well by Oshawa, and could have turned into a pretty dangerous scoring chance here. So another really interesting clip out of Aitcheson here, again, just slaps the puck free before it even enters his own zone, which is great. Gets the puck from 91 here along the boards. And then again, this patience, this is what I want to see more of out of him. This patience, drawing in pressure and working off of it really well. I think this is a really good example of that. So for me, this I think was maybe the only time I saw Aitcheson sort of inviting this kind of pressure in a way that I felt sort of tricked the opponent, and he kind of worked off of it really well. So if I'm in a video room with him, I'm taking stuff like this and sort of going, a lot of the times I found him defaulting to just passing the puck or dumping it or getting rid of it. But stuff like this, I think, showcases that there is a level of instinct here that is good and projectable, and I think a better fit for the modern NHL. And I mean, everybody loves to see this, right? So I'm not even going to really analyze this much, but Aitcheson just comes way across the ice and tries to obliterate Owen Griffin. And again, we talked about the Kevin He play earlier. Owen Griffin is not a very big player. He is, I think, one of the biggest knocks against him is that he is pretty slender and slight. And again, this is a highlight of exactly how Aitcheson kind of plays. And in my books, again, I think this is really, really risky, right? You have a defenseman who's responsible for this side of the ice, right? If Oshawa has a man coming in this way, you know, all Griffin has to do is find a way to chip the puck here or stop up a little bit or just somehow not cough up the puck here. And now Aitcheson has left this entire section of the ice completely undefended, looking for that hit, which fair enough, right? And it works out in this case. But also, if you're going to do that and try to lay that big of a hit against a guy like this, he comes out on the worst end of it. Griffin ends up on his feet, which I labeled this file. I legitimately don't know. Like, I know that Aitcheson has thrown some huge hits this season. In my sample, I usually focus on really good teams, and in my sample, I'm pretty sure this was maybe one of two examples of Aitcheson throwing these really heavy, intense hits, but I'm always so careful to see when guys choose to do stuff like this. I get it. It's exciting to see an opponent crossing the train tracks like that and crossing over the middle of the ice, and you know you can line them up for a big hit, but one little chip pass there against better opposition, I think, at higher levels without this kind of support from a line mate here, and this could have been a really clean break for Oshawa in their own end. So obviously I'm a little bit, nitpicky here, and I feel like this is an indicator of just like the kind of player that he is, but we're going to see more examples of this where I sort of go, I see what you're trying to do, but I always focus on what happens after the fact. What impact did you have on the game rather than physical impact? And this one, it worked out in his favor, but yeah, could have maybe gone a little better for him. This one I'm just going to let run because there's a lot going on here that I think you just need to see, and I labeled it, maybe he should just be a forward. Like, there's a large part of me that thinks that Kashawn Aitcheson at his best is when he's got the puck down low in the offensive zone. Like, he's a guy who, like, the movements along the boards here, he puts the puck out in front, gets the puck back on an offensive zone turnover, gets along the boards, puts it again out in front. He's down low. There's just a lot going on in this shift where I sort of think, here he goes down low in the offensive zone, tries to throw the puck out in front. Like, on this shift specifically, this is kind of why I don't always 100% trust the data that I track, because there are, I think, 4 attempts for a player here for Aitcheson to throw it out in front as a slot pass, and I wouldn't say any of them are particularly, high end or threatening, but they count, and he's at least doing those things, and he's down low trying to get the puck into scoring areas, and he's doing good work sort of fending off pressure. And to me, I just sort of go, I don't know, like, if defenseman isn't really working out for him at the next level, like, there might be a pretty heavy power winger here that could be a thing, because it kind of speaks for itself, just the way that he's handling this sort of entire sequence, and you can see some hints about how this guy managed to score so much this season for sure. So now we're going to get into Kashawn Aitcheson's skating and skill combination, which I think showed itself a lot better at the end of the year as opposed to what I saw over the course of the entire season. This ability to, really work with the puck and carry it himself, and on this move, just this skill move on an exit, leaves that guy behind, and now he's kind of got himself all the way through the neutral zone. Does this look like an NHL top 4 puck carrying defenseman and he, turns it over in the offensive zone? I'm not so sure, but I want to see guys doing this, and I go, okay, skating improvements from here, you have this wired in your brain, we can move forward with this. That sounds good to me, and yeah, the end of the play there might maybe have been a little bit better executed or finished, but at the end of the day, what we're focusing on here is his skating ability, and this is a sign of what is there. So here goes Aitcheson again, and this is another, is he maybe a winger at the next level kind of thing, because again, just attacking this guy at the offensive blue line, getting in the offensive zone, and a nice little backhand pass there to get it back to an open man and have someone in open space supporting him. Like, mate, I'm watching these back and I'm going, I don't know, maybe this guy could be more of a winger at the end, at the next level at the end of the day, but we'll see. You never know, but this was another indicator of him just being hard on the forecheck, simple passer working off of pressure and doing good work. Again, maybe he should be a winger, right? He gets the puck here, and a really, really nice move to get through a defenseman here. Or not a defenseman, that's a forward, Alexander Asadorian. But at the end of the day, the focus here is that Aitcheson just puts the puck through his legs and pulls off a pretty nice skill move, which again, for defensemen in this class, not many guys even try stuff like this. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun to watch. And I mean, this game against Niagara, it wasn't particularly close. We'll say that. It was a bit of an outlier game from Aitcheson, and stuff like this was happening. And in other games, I did not see much like this. So who knows? Maybe there's something more here. Another way Aitcheson drove a lot of offense this year, look at where he is in the offensive zone here. He's down here. There's 4 Barrie Colts right in front of the net and just attacking. And then he takes a step back, gets this pass from a line mate, and this pass vision to be able to just go, you know what, I'm not just going to pop it on net, I'm going to pass it to this guy here, is really good. Like, I remember when this happened, because up until this point, or a point around this time, I was thinking I don't really understand how Aitcheson was scoring so much, but if you can do slap passes like that and spot guys on the back door like that, then yeah, you can score, and so to see it out of him is also impressive. This is also a nice pass through traffic. Again, this is later in the season, and earlier in the year, he would yeet this all the way down the ice. I don't know how many times he iced the puck in the first few games I did, but a pass like this, that's kind of what you want. Nice pass lane awareness, threads the needle really well, hard, crisp exit pass, and this is why over the last couple of weeks, watching him a little bit more, he's now found his way on my list. I can't not have this guy on the list because there are things that he brings to the game that I think are good, especially, and we're seeing a lot, especially in the more offensive side of things. So there are signs here of something with Aitcheson, I think. And again, he activates along the wall and throws a puck out into the slot, and it's completed, right? The more often defensemen do this, the better off they're going to be offensively. It's just the same thing as forwards. So for Aitcheson, again, the more I'm watching these clips back of the things that I liked in his game, the more I'm sort of thinking like, well, yeah, maybe this guy is not destined to be a defenseman at the NHL level, because these sort of moments of pinching up and working down low and all of these things and the physicality of his game, I mean, yeah, maybe there's a future for him there. And here's Kashawn Aitcheson scoring one of his many goals this season, just cranking one. There it is. He can shoot, so that's cool. Here goes Aitcheson again at the end of the first period. This is, I think, what NHL teams are going to love. He just takes a guy right into his own net, gives him a few cross checks in the back, give him the how do you do at the end of the period, and I can hear the chatter in my head of NHL scouts watching this guy going, this is who you win with. This is the type of player that you win with. He's mean and nasty and does those things. And yeah, even if it's 40 feet from where the puck is, he'll do it. And yeah, if that's what you like, then that's what you like. And again, he is a player who jumps into the offensive zone a lot, right? It's a 4-on-4 scenario here, and Aitcheson is right in front of the net, just driving to the net, doing the thing. I mean, he makes a good read on the timing there, but now you've got a 3-on-1 coming the other way. So there are trade-offs to the way that he kind of can play in the offensive zone, I think, and this is a good example of the benefits, and if he got a good shot off there, then that's probably a goal, but now you've got a 3-on-1 coming the other way. So risk management, that's the name of the game. Yeah, again, this is the thing I think people love about him, right? So Aitcheson's in the middle of the ice here in front of the net, and again, just giving a guy the business in front, cross-checks him into his own net, and now he's just going after it, right? That's Kashawn Aitcheson's game, man. This is how it goes. And I think people find it very valuable. So again, this is Aitcheson along the perimeter, doing some positive and I'd say not so positive moments defensively. A nice stick check and keeps Buckley pinned to the boards there briefly. But then a bit of a defending with your arms moment there along the boards, but he knocks it free. Like, this is a guy who sticks with the play. You can't really fault him for, sticking with the play defensively, putting in the work, and just sticking with it, right? There's value to that as well. This is a player who competes, and he'll play hard. He'll play ferociously. We'll get into some of the things that I have a little bit of questions about, but you can't fault the sort of competitiveness in this guy for sure. This is where things start to fail him a little bit. Like, again, watch. I see what you're trying to do here, right? Aitcheson is here. This guy is here. And if he even thinks about coming to this direction, here comes Aitcheson, and you're going to get some kind of collision. And what happens? Almost a really, really great play out of 11. And then the other thing I want want to note, and this is an area where we're going to start seeing some weird stuff with him. Where does he go? Keep an eye on what he does here, right? He's the left defenseman, so this is his area, right? There's no Oshawa Generals here, so whatever. He can maybe afford to abandon it unless this guy gets around him and has this route to play with, which is what he tries to do, right? And Aitcheson does knock the player off of the puck, which is fine, and this supportive guy picks up the loose puck, but then they turn it over immediately, and then where does Aitcheson go? He's gone. He just leaves the play, and they get themselves a bit of a scoring chance here. It's a bit of strangeness to his game, honestly. It's a thing where I see what you're trying to do, right? He's going for the big hit. He's doing all of these things. If I am a pre-scouting guy, if I'm a video scout or something like that, and I have to know what's coming and Aitcheson's on the other team, I am trying to get my guys to know that this is going to be a thing that you get when he's on the ice, and that if you have good support from your right wing, and can fill that space, if you can bait him into going for a hit, you might be able to exploit some of these things. And this is also a playoff game. This was the last game Barry played this season, so it wasn't like this was he did it in October and it got coached out of his game or anything. I mean, I get the feeling that there are coaches out there who love that he does this kind of thing, and I just find it really risky. And I feel like really good, high-end, skilled players and really smart teams are going to know it, and they're going to play around it. But again, this is also just really solid defending, too, in the same game from Aitcheson, right? He doesn't go for the big hit on Seneca here. He just gets his stick in the way and keeps him out of the scoring areas. This is the kind of thing that I think is good defending. So, like I said, the last couple games I saw of him were way better than the first 5. So, I'm a little bit twisted in knots because we're going to get into it, but I have a lot of stuff that is not as great, but this was a good moment of defending. Just good footwork, nice stick check, and then gets himself in the way. Puts himself in the way of the puck and the player and gets good support there from his partner, and they're off and running. Here is another goal. This was probably the nicest thing I've seen Aitcheson do in the offensive zone. Just getting this pass and in full stride, just that little fake and driving wide and scoring like that. Really great shooter, really impressive sort of skill level there. And yeah, I mean, this is how you score a lot of goals in the OHL as a defenseman, right? Just making that little move, make the goalie move at the last second and get yourself a goal. So he scored 6 goals in 16 games in the playoffs, 26 in the regular season. This is how he did it. Okay, so now we're going to get into the parts of Aitcheson's game that I have doubts about. And I can't lie. Again, I saw much better performances out of him towards the end of the season in the playoffs and all of that stuff. But over the course of the entire season, 39 of the 68 clips that I've pulled of him over the course of the season, I would consider as issues to work through. So for me, with Aitcheson, this one is not the end of the world, right? But Aitcheson is a player who really depends on players coming at him to defend really, really well, I think. And this gets he gets dragged out of position here. And I think this is also a bit of a structural failure from Barry. You probably want to have some way of sticking with this guy. So either Aitcheson switches out and takes him because he ends up going to this area and getting a clean scoring chance, or this guy who was covering him cuts behind this and covers him in there. But neither thing happens. And now you have a player alone in no man's land. And again, this is kind of why I'm always aware of defensemen who abandon the side of the ice that they're reliable for. This one just goes in, and it's obviously not awesome, but this isn't the worst thing. It's just the first one that popped up in the list. This one was odd, and I saw Aitcheson do this quite a bit, especially for a player advertised as extremely physical, but he, on a loose puck, just stopped. He just stops at the side of the net and allows Niagara to gain possession and get themselves a scoring chance. This is going to be a bit of a pattern. Is sometimes you'll see Aitcheson do the big hit. He'll try to throw a huge hit that everybody notices, but then when it's like little procedural plays on cycles and everything, he'll just kind of not play the puck. Like if there's not an opportunity to play the body here that he can see, he just kind of doesn't make a play at all, which, obviously, again, like single instances, I'm obviously not just going, well, this is how the player is, but I'm going to highlight things that were patterns over the course of all the times I've seen this guy. Again, this is one I'm not going to pick on tremendously, but he loses a physical battle down low and they end up getting the puck right out in front. He does do the stick check and cause a breakup, so it does work out in his favor at the end of the day. But these are things that I think are a bit of a pattern that we'll see in these clips as well. These losses of battles along the boards and extended possessions in the defensive zone in a lot of the games that I tracked of his. This is what I mean. This is earlier in the season, admittedly, but Aitcheson is playing on his offside as well, which I don't think I would do at the next level. And just monitoring this rush laterally, that's just not effective. He just loses track of where the puck is headed. He doesn't even move his stick to the other side of his body to even challenge the puck. He's just trying to line up a hit. At least that's what it looks like. He's looking at how can I get this guy against the boards, and by the time he tries it, it's too late. So yeah, we'll move on, but this is more of the Kashawn Aitcheson that I had seen over the course of the whole season going into the last few games of the year in the playoffs. And this is Luke Misa against him, right? So Luke Misa is number 33 here, and I love Luke Misa, but this is my personal philosophy here. This is why I like guys like Luke Misa and have issues with guys like Kashawn Aitcheson, especially with how they're valued in the draft, right? Misa is fast and skilled and aggressive and tenacious and confident. And he's pushing Aitcheson on his heels here and really challenging him, forcing him to not only get going backwards really quickly, but also laterally monitoring which direction Misa's going here. So to me, this is if I'm pre-scouting and I'm trying to build a team, I like guys like Misa because on rushes like this, they're pressuring guys like Aitcheson to be out of their comfort zone a little bit, forcing them to adapt to what you're doing. And this was an example of Aitcheson getting a little crossed up on an entry and having it, a smaller player just get right through him. This is another one, again, earlier in the year, but against a guy like Beckett Seneca, who's fast and big and strong. Again, just not really getting a physical play done here at all. It's a lot of space to cover, but why is it a lot of space to cover? It's because Aitcheson at the beginning of this play is on the right side of the ice when he is a left-hand shot defenseman here, right? So Aitcheson pinched up off the faceoff here, if you didn't notice, right? So Aitcheson is here, and Oshawa just makes no mistake on the exit. They're off and running, and Aitcheson's playing catch-up, and a guy like Seneca just blows right through him. To me, I think here, this isn't necessarily a poor play, but I think it's illustrative of the type of player Aitcheson is, and how, to me, it's a little bit not my style. It might just be my personal preference, but I feel like on this play, Aitcheson is relying on his stick, really trying to wrap up Ritchie, and Ritchie is a talented player, and he's confident under that pressure, manages to extend the possession, and so Aitcheson gives him a whack. He starts grabbing at him, pulling on him, just mucking it up, which I get it. Some people enjoy that. But again, for me, I'm way more interested in results and staying focused and calm. And to me, this play just strikes me in such a way where, I don't know. I feel like this is an easy way to put your team down a man or on a 4-on-4 or something when it's not really necessary. I think this is just a really well executed play here from Kitchener because there's nothing particularly wrong at this particular moment about how these guys are playing a 3-on-2. He doesn't get much support, but again, Aitcheson finds a way to end up not really factoring, but Aitcheson finds a way to factor in on this play, basically covering nobody, gets turned around, and again, a really quick tic-tac-toe pass, and he's facing the goalie a little bit too late for my liking. Facing the flow of play, I think, makes more sense and being sort of upright and skating backwards. But yeah, this one I think also is just a good play from Kitchener that just cut Barry to pieces. This is another high-end NHL draft pick playing against Aitcheson here. This is Quentin Musty, San Jose Sharks first-round draft pick. And again, Aitcheson is turning a little late, but then Aitcheson just gets crossed up. Musty cuts in on him and cuts into scoring area. Again, this is earlier in the season. I have to keep saying that, but this is a bit of a thing with him, is like, yes, there's some decent footwork, but my thing is always about how you perform against some really, really high-end players. And guys like Musty, especially if they have played against Aitcheson before at the NHL level or something, they're gonna be able to pick up on some things that you could exploit. And this is a small example of that. And again, this is at the end of the season, so I'm not just highlighting things that are old, but again, not really moving his feet, defending with his arms, and, I feel like in the NHL, guys are going to win in these situations. Faster players than 11 here on Oshawa will go wide on them. They'll challenge them down the boards. If you can get through a player's physical pressure, then you're off and running. And I feel like this happened a little bit too often for my liking. But again, Aitcheson sticks with it, and there's, you can tell he's trying, right? I'm not trying to call him lazy or something lazy on my end, but it's a matter of results for me. And we'll see in the data as well that the results with Aitcheson were really, 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 really mixed. This is another example of Aitcheson. Puck settling, I think, might be something I'd want to work on with him over the next little while, but he loses the puck in a really scary spot here, but sticks with it and gives the guy a hard time. I'm not sure they got a shot off in that situation, and that's due to Aitcheson. So this is a player that I think gives you some good things in some areas and some issues in other areas that it all needs to be taken as a whole. And really, you have to get a good balanced analysis of what's going on here. But again, I can't fault his competitiveness on a play like this one. And this was not uncommon. This was the kind of thing I was seeing a lot early in the season with Aitcheson and his puck possessions, like inviting a lot of pressure and taking a long time to end up making a decision that really doesn't do much for your team. I mean, I think this ended a little bit as the year went on. Like, I figured later on in the season, he might be passing it right back to his line mate or teammate, pairmate, whatever you want to call it, in open ice, or maybe using his feet and wheeling up a little bit backwards and trying to open up a lane of some kind. But this kind of thing, I saw a lot out of him, especially early in the year. And I don't know, I'm just a fan of guys who aren't yeeting the puck directly to the opponent or trying to wait for something that never appears and then just hands the puck back over to the opponent. But like I said, this kind of was a thing that got a little bit better statistically as the year went on. Now, this is something that I saw with him throughout the entire season. This is, again, in the playoffs. This is a series they won. And just watch where Aitcheson goes. He's this guy here. He's doing the right thing off the puck, you know, covering a couple of men, getting back. But then the puck gets knocked down in the neutral zone, and it's still kept by Niagara, but Aitcheson is gone. Both Barrie defensemen are actually off the screen here, and Aitcheson is basically in front of his own net. If you extrapolate back a few seconds, to me, on defensive entries and everything, Aitcheson was extremely conservative more often than not, and to the point where here, again, you're opening up a chasm of empty space by even just stopping, pivoting, turning around, and staying in this sort of area of the ice. I think makes way more sense. It's better than this, right? And just giving Niagara a route. You have support here from this guy with both Barrie defensemen focusing on the shot here. Obviously, it works out. The goalie makes the save and everything and whatever. But to me, this is a situation we're going to see a few more times in this, where I see how Aitcheson sort of plays the game off the puck and how conservative he is with his positioning. That's something that I think needs time to rectify. Again, this is it happening in the defensive zone in the last game that he played this season, right? So again, not challenging at all. You know, he just sticks. He gives them a road, right? He actively gets out of the way of a shooting lane on this play. And again, like I this is why I love guys who have really great footwork. Coaches will see this and go, wow, he blocked that shot. Good for him. But to me, I see him, you know, he's in good position here. This is perfectly fine. You know, you're in good position to challenge, but he flips onto his backward skating, he pivots backwards and then floats to the far side of the net, and Oshawa gets a couple of good chances on net. So this is something that I think was clear for the majority of the year that I saw. And this is kind of where it exposed him. Again, this is earlier in the year, but he is very conservative, and the footwork and the power generation, I think, got better as the year went on. But Coach Adelic gets the puck off of his stick really fast, quicker than Aitcheson can challenge him. And so this is why I kind of look at guys that play with more pace and speed as potentially the kryptonite for a guy like this. You know, again, on that rebound, he doesn't settle the puck. He ends up blocking the shot, so good for him. But this is another one where, again, he's very conservative on his positioning here on this entry. And so, yeah, just, again, it's about patterns. And this is something that I would definitely want to work on in the future. This was also something that I noticed with Aitcheson that he did throughout the season. A lot of the time, and it's directing nobody to do something he should be doing. There's nobody really with him on this defensive rush, so I'm not exactly sure if he's trying to just send a message to one of these guys to tell him, I'm gonna go for this guy, so fill the rest of the space and go for this guy. Maybe that's what he's doing, but I don't think that's a realistic ask considering how much room there is between this player and Porter Martone on the entry here. Like, I think this is kind of where you start to go, I'm going to be aware of passing lanes here. And even then, again, Aitcheson plays the body, doesn't play the puck. This is a situation where he definitely could have, you know, got a stick on the puck and chipped it to his line mate here, and they would have had the puck in safety, but instead Martone fetches it and gets a really dangerous scoring chance out of it. So again, this highlights a few different things with Aitcheson where, you know, I see maybe what he's trying to do here, but I think it's a little unrealistic to ask. And again, getting that loose puck onto his stick into safety and playing the body first, yeah, a little bit questionable. This is another one where it kind of like raised my hair a little bit. This is a playoff game, so it's a little later in the year, but I love guys who use their footwork and cover ice really quickly here. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but Aitcheson, I feel like, is the guy who should be getting to this puck first. Step up and challenge. It's a bit of a soft challenge on Kevin He. I'm pretty sure he gets his stick on it and Aitcheson doesn't. And Niagara gets the puck in the neutral zone here. But yeah, again, it's a collection of little things with him that have added up where I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit, wondering why he might be even a top 10 guy this year, top 15. It's a little bit strange to me because the tendencies and the patterns with him, even if he is a competitive player and all of these things, the actual results, sometimes for me, I think a lot more than other defensemen in this draft were quite frustrating. This is also, again, the end of the season. So watch what he does. This is where it burns him. At the moment, perfectly fine. I think this is perfectly fine. But what does he do? Takes his eyes off the ball and just goes for the body. And now look what you've got. Bam. Full lane all the way to the net. Oshawa gets the puck, and that's a grade A scoring chance. If Aitcheson does not cross the midline of the ice here and go for the hit on Seneca, he's still in this area of the ice. He could block the shot. He could step up and challenge the shooter. He could do something. But here, Seneca gets the puck off his stick. Aitcheson goes for the hit. Doesn't really affect Seneca at all. And they managed to get a really good scoring chance out of it. So yeah, sometimes you'll see him cross the middle of the ice and deck someone. But if that's his tendency and that's his preference and that's a pattern, you're going to get burned sometimes. And this, again, it's not that this was something that left his game as the year went on, because this is, again, at the end of the season. And this is just something that was always there. And if you like it, you like it. But my preference is not a fan of this personally. This is another way that it burns him, right? Goes for that check and just misses. This, if I'm coaching, I cannot stand this, honestly. Like, you're a defenseman, you're trying to be aggressive, I get it, and you want to deck the guy, but they just end up right behind you, and I feel like with good, fast, speedy support, you're on your heels and you're really chasing the play here. And, I get it. You're going for the moment. You're going for the highlight. You're going for the hit, but picking your spots is arguably more important than your ability to crush someone, in my opinion. This one, it works out in his favor, but again, look at how far over he is. Look at how much room there is on this side of the ice. Aitcheson is the left-hand shot defenseman. This is Porter Martone. You don't give a lane like this to Porter Martone. I mean, Connor Smith, I would not consider like the premier offensive playmaker off the back end in the OHL, but if that pass gets over his stick, that's clean to Porter Martone, and you don't want that happening. And again, positioning, and it's something that I would need to be very, very, very cognizant and aware of with developing this guy over the next little while. This is another moment where I'm kind of sitting there going, guh. I mean, it works again. In his favor, this works, but he's got his stick off the ice, up in the air. Number one, I think that's a risk of taking a high sticking penalty, and you're not playing the puck. He's on his strong side. Seneca just chips the puck right past him. He does get the hit. He does take Seneca out of the play, but Oshawa still has the puck going into the neutral zone. I don't mind physical defensemen if they pick their spots right and if they also play the puck first. That's always my preference because the name of the game is putting the puck in the net. So, again, Aitcheson is a player where if he can stay out of the box, and I think if he kept his stick on the ice there and chipped the puck or tried to chip the puck off of Seneca first and then laid the body, who knows what could have happened. Barrie might have ended up with possession in the offensive zone, but instead it comes back the other way and Aitcheson is pretty well removed from the play. This is another nice hit from Kashawn Aitcheson, even if the puck is well gone from number 6 here and he hits him right on the numbers. But the thing I kind of found strange was this is in his own end and Aitcheson is here, way out at the blue line, and ends up in the almost in the neutral zone here and just hits a guy from behind after he passes the puck away. Like, I don't know. I feel like if this is something that's reinforced and encouraged in the future, you might end up with a guy who gets himself in a little bit of trouble, because this also could have been a little bit dangerous. Okay, and that's all I've got for Kashawn Aitcheson in my folder. I feel like I have to be a little bit careful here, because with Kashawn Aitcheson, I don't know how I feel. I really don't. I think it's an oversimplification for people to go, you win with guys like this. He's the meanest guy in the draft. He's physical. He's intense. He's going to stop pucks. He can score. He can do all that. Like, I feel like there's more to the picture that at higher levels will be a challenge. And that's not unusual for defensemen. And frankly, again, the last couple games I saw of him, the couple games I tracked recently, they were an improvement. The results were better, but the really troubling tendencies with regards to positioning, chasing physical play when it kind of is not really called for, those tendencies were still there. And those are the kinds of things that I find are simultaneously difficult to coach out of a player's game. The general approach a player has to the game doesn't usually change all that much for a while, but also it's a matter of, does an NHL team drafting this guy see that as a detriment or as much of a potential risk as someone like me? And I'll admit, right, like I know for a fact there's going to be people in my comments saying I'm overreacting about this or that, or Aitcheson will figure it out, he's strong, you can't pass on guys like this, blah blah blah. And maybe you're right? Like I never claimed to be the smartest man in the universe, but in terms of what I look for in a player, there are certainly areas where I think Aitcheson brings some good ability. He's a really good shooter from the point. He's got some good skill along the boards. He's willing to try stuff. He steps up in the offensive zone, puts pucks out into the slot more than a lot of defensemen out there. There's a lot that he does that I think is interesting. But even after a full sample of his games over the course of the season, he's a player who I was told all year how physical he was, how intense he was, how all these things, but he was one of the least frequent hitters I tracked all season in terms of actually hitting players during the flow of play. It was pretty limited. Competitive, sure. He'll stick with guys, get his stick in the way, but actually hitting a guy, less common than you would actually think. Offensive zone turnovers, very infrequent. Breaking cycles in his own end, just as infrequent as offensive zone turnovers. This is a guy who scored a bunch of goals, but only took 10% of the shots his team took with him on the ice. He had a pretty good rate of shot assists. I mean, there's things in his game where I'm going, okay, like I see things going right for him here. But at the end of the day, I feel like there is, I mean, it's almost like it doesn't matter really, right? Because I see him, he's on my list now as a second round pick, early, mid second round pick, kind of like how I had Carter Yakimchuk last year. And I remember liking Yakimchuk's skill level a lot more last year. His puck carrying ability, I liked it a lot more. I felt that there were more, similar shooting tools to him, but better skill in the offensive zone and was a little more creative. So I've got Aitcheson in a similar range, but a little bit lower. And I think that feels about right. I think there's just a very wide range of outcomes for him. I mean, I feel like he might be a guy that plays a lot of minutes in the NHL and maybe he sorts things out and becomes a fan favorite. He's a physical player, blah, blah, blah. But for me, like, would I take him top 15 in this year's draft class? I really don't think so. And let's take a look at the analytics then, and then we'll close this up. But the analytical picture for him did improve quite a bit from the last couple of games I did of him, which were in the playoffs, especially this game against Niagara. I mean, it was so crazy. It was an outlier. There's no other way to put it. But, he's a player who still, through those improvements, was a player who was less efficient driving the puck up the ice than he was at allowing possession on defensive transitions, which for a defenseman is a really not great combination, in my opinion. He's a guy who was involved in 30% of offensive transitions with him on the ice, and a lot of that were missed passes. He passed the puck across blue lines offensively 82% of the time and missed 71% of the time. Is that all on him? No, I don't think it's always all on him. But, again, in terms of big sample players, these are things that are near the bottom of my tracking list. So is it just a matter of the first 6 months of the season were not very good and he turned it on in the playoffs and really figured it out? Maybe, but I feel like that game in Oshawa that they ended up losing and the season was over, you still saw some of the issues. And I think those issues still were explained with that 44% success rate against him defensively. That's not ideal. A lot like Reddy Murtka was half that, for example. And so you have a guy who's passing the puck a ton. 100 pass attempts per 60 minutes is crazy. Completing just about half of them, which is, I'd say, adequate, but not really a reliable offensive transition player. Advertised as very physical, but I would argue is less physical than you would think. And a player who, yes, there are offensive tools, but you're a defenseman that's at the best abilities or most interesting when the puck is in the offensive zone. And I'm always more skeptical on defensemen like that than I am, I think, relative to other people. And I think that's because getting the puck into the offensive zone in the first place is more important, arguably, right? Like game by game, in the games I tracked this year, the game against Niagara, his team controlled 90% of the dangerous shot attempts. The shot attempt differential for him was 77% overall. It's just bonkers. But in the other games, his dangerous shot attempt percentages were in order from best to worst: 57, 53, 50, which is fine, but then 41, 28, and 0. And a lot of these games, he still overall ended up with a 47% shot shot attempt percentage. To me, it's not the end of the world. Aitcheson is a player who definitely, I think, should be picked. He's not a player I should have unranked. I admit that, right? But I just feel like in that top 15 valuation, you are taking on a lot of risk. And over the years of doing this, I've seen a lot of guys advertised as these defensive stalwarts who want to play physical and try to play physical and play this mean, hard-nosed style of play, but the results aren't quite there. And I feel like they are players that NHL teams latch onto. They rush along. They think are further along than they are. Aitcheson is like Yakimchuk last year, almost eligible for last year's draft. And would I have drafted this guy around where like a Zeev Buium went last year? Based on what I've seen this year of both of those players, I don't think so. I really don't. And granted, Buium is about a year older than him, but if Aitcheson were a little bit older and in last year's draft class, there is a little bit there that I think would be, you know, especially we're talking that high in the draft. So anyway, to close out, it's not like I actively hope this player's career is nothing. I really don't want to come off that way. I really don't. I think that there's something interesting here. I just hope that whoever drafts him recognizes that, yes, there's a competitive edge to him. There's a bit of skill. He's a heck of a shooter. But in terms of like structure and positioning and how conservative he is on defensive entries and how much space he allows the opponent to have and the risks that he takes, those are things that you have to manage and be careful about. That's all I'm saying. And if you want in the top 15, I can't tell you that it's automatically a miss. It's not what it's going to happen. But for me, it's just a lot of risk. And I think you're saying no to a lot of other really interesting options out there, especially at forward, who I think project a little bit better to more important roles. But at the end of the day, you can't fault Aitcheson for, I mean, he's a great kid. He's a guy who loves being in the gym. Coaches love him. Everybody loves him. You can't fault him for that. But my big question is, as a player, where do you think he goes? What do you think he is? And what does he turn into? And I just don't know the answer to a lot of those questions, and that spooks me. So with that, we're going to call it. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, definitely like and subscribe to the channel. If you really liked it, you can check out Scouching.ca, where you'll get access to all these videos as early as possible, as well as plenty of cool data tools, visualization tables, and plenty of other fun stuff. So you can check that out at Scouching.ca. So thank you very much. We'll see you in the next one.